Hey, what's up, everyone? Just wanted to quickly share with you guys my Gauntlet experience over the past couple days. Where I started, where I've gone, where I've been, and I don't know where I'm going, but probably not very far. I originally wasn't sure I was going to play. And then right before the stream on Friday, I just was like, you know what? Don't be a baby. Just play it. Just play it. And so I booted it up. I was like, I'm not even going to make a build myself. I'm just going to pick the most recommended, safest build that Zizaran says. So he made a video for Righteous Fire Chieftain. I hadn't played a Chieftain since he was reworked, and I figured, why the heck not? Let's just dive into it. So starting off, it is pretty painful to mule over. You have to go all the way through the Roas. You have to do Breaking Some Eggs to get Frostblink, Flame Wall, and Rolling Magma from a Templar. You have to mule that over to a Marauder because he gets nothing, and then you don't want to level with, Heavy Strike. Muled those things over, dodging the Roas. We just took it really, really slow. Act 1 was fine. Act 2 was fine. Just took it really slow. The nice thing is the Marauder, especially if you're building into something, if you're planning to go Righteous Fire, you go into a lot of max fire res. You go into as much life regen as possible to counteract that now. I'm going to say nerfed. I know Captain Lance is saying it's not nerfed, and at the highest level, it's fine, and it's fine with Juggernaut still. But I'm going to say, at least for League Start, Righteous Fire felt pretty bad. Sorry, Zizaran, but I never felt comfortable swapping over to RF. I actually ended up taking Rolling Magma all the way until Act 4. I was actually almost at Malachi, and I was just like, every time, I just went all in. I had the uncapped Fire Res Mastery. I had as much max res as I could. I was following the tree exactly. And I could sustain my Righteous Fire. I could just sustain. But the problem is you have to play melee range. Like, swapping from Rolling Magma into that, you have to get right in the monster's face. It was pretty low DPS. It was a noticeable DPS loss going into Righteous Fire. Fire Trap, of course, helps a little bit there. But I did not like the experience of having effectively 0 life regen, coming off of very high life regen. I had like 30% life regen per second, and then going down to 0%, and then having to go from range to melee. I actually felt much, much less safe, even in Act 4, when supposedly I should have been online. And yeah, I just didn't like it. I didn't feel comfortable with it. I know people have made it work, but we're just spitballing ideas around on stream, and someone suggested, I don't know where this came from, I think someone suggested trying out Flamewood Totem support. Basically, what this support is if your totem gets hit, it will, with a 1-second cooldown, shoot out projectiles, much like Blast Rain. You can link something like GMP, make it shoot more projectiles, and do more damage. It does grant it to your character, so any increased damage, much like scaling totems in general, will scale, increased spell damage, increased fire damage. So that's actually what I ended up doing, is I swapped over to Flamewood Totem support, and it was really cool. It's a very interesting setup. Unfortunately, I had taken the first mastery for Righteous Fire, which was Tessalio, going for the max res, going towards Velacos, so you could just hit, all of your max res. And we do want to get that eventually anyway. But what you have to do is your totems have to taunt. They have to get hit. And until you get a Rangui, which is the totem's taunt ascendancy, until you get that, you're struggling, and you actually need to use Decoy Totem, which, is cool. Decoy Totem's great, but it's a cooldown totem, which has a huge downside of only being able to cast one at a time, and you're just not going to have a bunch of totems down doing a lot of damage. And I had to struggle with that all the way until I did my Merc Lab, because there's no way I was going to get enough regrets. Also, that's the other problem, is I had to regret a lot of points to switch from the Righteous Fire setup. I was originally going into Soul of Steel, and I had to unspec all of these points and get into Panopticon, and then go all the way up until Ancestral Bond and Primal Manifestation. So I was using just Decoy Totem all the way until, Act 8 or so. And then I was able to do my Merc Lab, Act 7, Act 8, whichever act that is. Did my Merc Lab, got my Rangui. Then I was able to switch over to Rejuvenation Totems, which are better, which are way, way better. You can have up to 4 of them out at a time when you have Ancestral Bond. They also scale life exceptionally well. They get more life multiplier from their quality. And if the monster's doing a cleave attack or you're doing clear, you drop down 4 totems, they all taunt the enemies, they get hit, and then the shotgun projectiles come out and do a lot of damage. I would love to plan to go into the Black Zenith setup. I know all about that, but that's way, way later. I don't think I'm going to get to that in the Gauntlet. It's a really cool skill. It's a really cool idea. And I actually think as a utility totem for a regular totem builder, even as utility support gem, when you're doing encounters that you can taunt the enemy, and if you're already scaling projectiles especially, I think there's some potential there for using Flamewood totem support in general. And I was just very surprised at how strong it could be if you could taunt the enemies. Unfortunately, many map bosses and many enemies cannot be taunted. Not regular enemies, there's a couple, but primarily just zone and map bosses. Kitava, for example, cannot be taunted, and it's incredibly painful and obnoxious. That was the experience there. This is a cool little setup. I'll just go over it really quickly for you guys. You can see where I am in the Gauntlet. Quick little update of how I'm doing. I am rank 91 chieftain right now. I'm like closer to rank 50 in terms of alive chieftains. You can see there's a lot of dead guys here. My goal actually is to, on stream today, get top 50 chieftains. Not push it any further than that. If I hit level 80, maybe we'll stay alive and we'll hit level 90. I don't have any hopes of that. I probably need to swap to a different build that doesn't rely on taunting so much. But yeah, we can do a quick little demonstration of what the build is here. Just show you, if I'm going to be talking and recording at the same time, we're going to do the safest map that we can, because I don't want to get distracted and accidentally die in the Gauntlet here. Yeah, you can see I have 53 life at level 75. I am using the Oath of the Magi with no gems in my gloves to give me 25% increased life right there, which is really, really nice. All my gear is just going for armor, regen gear. If I can get Chaos Res or any spell suppression, we do want to get some of that. Rejuve Totem with GMP, multiple totem support, and then Flamewood support. Frostblink, Arcane Surge, Life Tap, Clarity, Determination, Leap Slam, faster attacks, Scorching Ray. We can't use Wave of Conviction to do exposure because it has to do damage. So we're using Scorching Ray, which is really annoying because you have to channel for a couple seconds to get the exposure, but it does give us a negative 25 exposure, which is great. Cast some damage taken, Molten Shell, no gems in the gloves. Tempest Shield, Sniper's Mark. I would prefer Flammability, but I am struggling to get the right gem colors. If I get a blue gem, I will use Flammability. Flame Wall, which I'm not 100% sure actually works, but I think it might because it is a projectile that is going through the wall, but it's kind of like when it hits the enemy. I'm not 100% sure on if that works, but Holy Flame Totem is our swap here for enemies that we can't taunt, but it does very, very little damage. So this is really just a vanity gem, to be perfectly honest. So let's show it working really quick. The clear here and the damage for my level is actually really, really good. As long as I can taunt an enemy, it's actually like really good. Like I could just put it in the middle of the enemies. As soon as they get taunted, they just get vaporized. And also the build is really tanky. This is the tankiest, safest I've ever felt in a Gauntlet, and I may actually play around with Chieftain more because of this. I'm liking the max res, honestly. Max res and armor is feeling really good. Not to mention I am sneaking in some spell suppression as well because why not? I'm addicted. I'm a right side tree enjoyer by trade, and I like the spell suppression. Anyway, you can see that even rares here, one volley there, and it mostly missed, almost one shot a rare. And that's how much damage this thing actually does. It's exceptional. Like, I didn't even curse. I didn't do any exposure. And it's just so safe also standing this far back. Although, I just tanked all those crystals. I didn't realize they were underneath me. Whoops. And let's just get to the zone boss here really quickly. Yeah, 5,300 life in white maps, too. Just being able to scale that much life is pretty good. And I'm not doing anything. I'm not dropping my other utility here or anything like that. Again, I'm running Tempest Shield, Determination, and Clarity. Not a single damage aura because we're in the Gauntlet. We can even do a Scary Essence Monster, right? I can taunt him and then stand back here. Taunt him more. Stand back here. Be nice and safe. Don't have to take any risks. Nice. Level 76. Yeah, my original plan was actually, hey, I'm just going to try something. Try it out. See how the Gauntlet goes. I'll probably die at some point. And I felt so tanky all the way through. There were a couple little close calls, but I was never really close to dying at all. Besides, little close calls where I was not paying attention. I was just looking at chat. But as long as I'm looking at what's on the screen, particularly in the white maps now. White maps are also easier than the campaign, which is great. They scaled it down for us. There's not that many modifiers. In the campaign, it had Penetrate and Physis Chaos. So I actually prioritized getting Chaos Res really early. I was rocking positive Chaos Res. Like, I think I had, at one point, I had 25, 30 Chaos Res. And then before I killed Kitava, right, I had 50 plus. which made a very big difference in the comfort. I think a lot of people are still, man, even with Fizz's Chaos in the Gauntlet, people don't hype. I like really, really prioritize Chaos Res in general when I play this game. I still see people saying, oh yeah, you're fine, you know, 30 Chaos Res, red maps, you'll be fine. And I guess you're fine, but man, there's so many Arch Nemesis modifiers especially that just add Chaos Res, add Wither, everything like that. I just, I don't know. I'm just a safety enjoyer, I guess. All right, let's see how the zone boss is. As long as I can taunt this guy, it's nice and easy. I don't remember if this guy's tauntable. So we stay back here. See if he gets taunted. Yeah, so this guy... Oh, this is a perfect example. Okay, he is attacking. Nice. He gets taunted and he does attack. And, yeah, pretty safe and easy. Ooh. Going for an Astral Projector. Nice. And you can see I have no damage. I have no damage whatsoever. I have the worst Scepter you can imagine. And it's still... It's feeling pretty good. Like, I totally recognize that this is just still in white maps, but besides, you know, 5-10 minute Kitava fights on monsters that you can't taunt, it's a cool little skill, and it's a thing I want to play around with more. I think it's really neat. I was very impressed with particularly using the totem nodes. Yeah, just for a safety ascendancy, I think Chieftain's really cool, and it's something I want to play around with more. There's a couple meme nodes here, like Ramako's, but I think Chieftain's pretty cool, and I'll be playing around with it more. That might be my next character that I make when I go back to the regular league, although we're not going to have much time after the Gauntlet. We will be playing Last Epoch on that launch, so I hope to see you guys for that on stream. It's going to be a good time, particularly the Falconer. I'm very, very excited for. Just want to share with you guys my Gauntlet experience. We're going to be going for top 50 Chieftain today. Not really aiming for anything really big there, but I am enjoying the build so far, and that's the most important thing. So yeah, I'm going to edit this video for you guys, get ready for the stream, and I hope to see you guys there. Goodbye.